I'm Suzanne Elsberry, co-president of the League of Women Voters, Charlotte Mecklenburg. It's a misnomer to say that American women were given the vote. On the contrary, 3 generations of women suffragists refusing to take no for an answer fought valiantly for nearly 100 years to take the vote for themselves. These women devoted their lives to the effort, sacrificing careers, families, and even their bodies to prove that they deserve the privilege of voting. Overcoming the prejudice, discrimination, and ignorance inherent in their society was an immense challenge. The battle for women's voting rights began as early as 1776, as Abigail Adams urged her husband, John Adams, to remember the women. Unfortunately, her hopes never came to fruition, as the Continental Congress left voting rights to the states to determine. Women remained without legal standing in the Constitution, and for much of the 19th century were second-class citizens, unable to vote, hold office, access higher education, or own property. Their role was confined to the domestic sphere. Before and during the Civil War, many women participated in the abolitionist movement, drawing parallels between their own lack of rights and the oppression of enslaved people. This became a critical precursor to the American suffrage movement, which officially began in 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention in New York. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott organized this first women's rights convention with about 300 women attending. The convention produced the Declaration of Sentiments, demanding, among other things, educational opportunities and the right of married women to control their wages and property. In 1870, the 15th Amendment granted Black men the vote, but excluded women. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton responded by forming the National Women's Suffrage Association, pushing for women's suffrage on the national level. Other suffragists like Lucy Stone and Julia Ward Howe took a more gradual and less confrontational approach, working at the state and local levels. In 1890, Wyoming became the first state with woman suffrage in its constitution, and other Western states soon followed. The suffragists escalated their efforts. Susan B. Anthony famously voted illegally in 1872, was arrested and fined $100, a fine she never paid. As years passed, tactics evolved from lecturing, lobbying, and marching to civil disobedience, hunger strikes, and picketing. In 1913, more than 5,000 women marched in Washington, D.C., enduring violent attacks from the crowd. Parade organizers attempted to exclude and later segregate the women of color, many of whom were suffragist leaders. Refusing to be sidelined, at least 50 joined the march. By 1917, suffragists were picketing the White House, comparing President Woodrow Wilson to the German Kaiser. Many women were arrested and imprisoned in appalling conditions. Some, like Alice Paul, endured the torture of twice daily forced feedings after hunger strikes. Despite these hardships, the suffrage movement persisted and gained momentum. Finally, in 1919, after 42 years of persistence, Congress passed the 19th Amendment, sending it to the states for ratification. Tennessee became the final state to ratify the amendment in August 1920, thanks to a young legislator's last-minute change of heart prompted by a letter from his mother. The League of Women Voters was founded by Carrie Chapman Catt just months before the 19th Amendment's ratification. The League inherited a broad agenda, advocating for issues like women's property rights, protecting female factory workers, and maternal health. While the battle for the vote was won, women's struggle for full equality continues to this day. The right to vote is and always has been about power. Who has it and who doesn't want to surrender it? Women must never forget how valiantly our foremothers fought to secure the franchise for them, for themselves, and for the women to follow. We must regard the right to vote as precious and continue to protect it from any who would try to take it from us. As we celebrate Women's Equality Day on August 26th, commemorating the ratification of the 19th Amendment, let us also move to action against the barriers still preventing many women, especially women of color, from accessing this powerful tool for driving change. Still today, the long-sought promise of suffrage and true equality remains a work in progress. Thank you.